Hello, it's just a little afternoon. Today is March 8th, and this is week 7 of the semester. And this week, you're going to be writing your compare-contrast essay. That's your big assignment this week. And I'm recommending that you use what is called the divided strategy in your essay. This is the approach that is in the two essays in the River Reader, Two Views of the River and Grant and Lee, A Study in Contrast. Both of those used the divided strategy. You wrote those up this past week. I already recommended this approach for the Macbeth essay, which you will be assigned in a couple of weeks. If you recall, I mentioned last week that for the divided on Macbeth, you'd have your introduction, then you would write a complete paragraph on Lady Macbeth as to her mental state early in the play, and then a complete paragraph on Macbeth as to his mental state at the beginning of the play. Then you go to Lady Macbeth, a paragraph on how she changes and what she's like toward the end of the play, and the same with Macbeth, a complete paragraph on Macbeth and as to his mental state at the end. And then you would wind up with a discussion of both that fits the prompt and shows how the two of them change and the results of that. So that would either be a last body paragraph or going into your conclusion. And we'll talk about this more when I give you the prompt in 2 weeks. Okay, in the divided strategy, you're going to write your introduction. This is for the compare-contrast essay. You'll write your introduction, and then your essay for the body of the essay will be 2 to 3 paragraphs, maybe even 4 body paragraphs, depending on how you set your essay up. And like the Grant and Lee essay, you will write on one subject for the first part of your essay, then write on the other subject for the second part of the essay. So in the Grant and Lee essay, the author wrote about Lee, General Lee, a few paragraphs, and then he wrote about Grant for a couple of paragraphs and showing how they are different, contrasting them. Then toward the end of the essay, he wrote a couple of paragraphs on how the two characters were similar, I should say. So then after that, they concluded the essay, and that's what you'll do. You'll conclude your essay, this compare-contrast that you're doing this week. You'll conclude it with a discussion of significance. Now, possible topics. You could write on 2 actors, 2 relatives, 2 rock stars, 2 musicians, 2 cars, or a really popular one that I've had students write on over the years is high school versus college. So a discussion of what high school was like for you and how it is different for your experience in college. Excuse me. Now, this could be a 4-paragraph essay. If you wrote 2 long body paragraphs contrasting, doing one subject and then the other subject in which you contrast, and you could mention similarities in the introduction. Another way of writing that would be to have the 3-paragraph body where you write on one topic, then the other contrasting, then writing a 3rd body paragraph where you show similarities. Now, there's flexibility in this. You could start your essay with a paragraph on similarities of your 2 topics, and then write the contrast paragraphs. So you'll want to map this out, organize it, write yourself a brief outline before you start writing. And I just wanted to mention for thesis statements, give you a couple of examples from the River Reader for two views of the river. If you recall, the thesis statement for this essay is that Twain compares the way he saw the river as an innocent apprentice to the way he saw it as an experienced pilot. So it states what the contrast is in the thesis statement. Now for Grant and Lee, the author Bruce Catton, considers how both the differences in background and similarities in character in these two great Civil War generals. So he considers both the differences in background and similarities in character that these two great Civil War generals. So you're stating what you're contrasting, perhaps what you're showing also as similarities for that. So this is your big assignment for this week, to get your compare contrast done. And other than that, this week you just have the research module on keywords response. Okay, so next week we will get back to Macbeth. And if you have time, you may want to just read the entire play. But next week we'll finish up the quotations and start heading toward the prompt on Macbeth to write a longer essay. So the chat box is open if you have any questions, if I can find it. Yeah, that should be open. But I'm not seeing any questions coming in right now. So you can email me if you have questions, and I will talk to you again next week. Have a good week.